So no matter what values you may hold or political ideologies you support, I think it's safe to say that this week was a big week for you. I know many of us spent some time this week trying to shake ourselves awake, hoping we were just stuck in a bad dream. And when that didn't work, we were left to face feelings of shock and heartbreak, fear and dread. For many of us, the issues we care deeply about now feel to be in danger, whether in areas of energy and environmental health, the economy, international relationships, gun control, the bodily autonomy of women, acceptance and safety for LGBTQ folks, or xenophobic free border policies. Many of us who believe in justice, equity, compassion, and the inherent worth and dignity of all have found ourselves in fear that we are about to be sidelined and removed from the political conversation altogether. We face the reality that our values are in clear minority and that we have not only lost an election, but are losing our country. And yet, as some of us mourned, others in America celebrate it. For over half of the voting population in this country, this was a week of joy, a week to feel relief, a sense of hope that all would be well again, a week of anticipation of promised lower prices, promised more opportunity, promise of a better life. And for the 50.5% of the voting population that is celebrating this week, many now feel that they are finally allowed back in the conversation, a conversation which they had felt sidelined from for the last 4 years and maybe much longer. They feel that it is finally their turn to express their values through policy and law. It's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? How two groups of people can experience the exact same event and yet arrive at wholly opposing conclusions about what that event means for their future. The tension in these dueling realities is real and very much present in all of our lives. I think almost everyone has a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor who sees the results of this election in a very different light than you do. And of course, that tension of dueling realities did not just start on Tuesday, nor did it end on Wednesday. And sadly, unless we can figure out what to do with it, chances are it will not end anytime soon. We are a country divided by a few percentage points. It is challenging to have a political system where the winner takes all. It is perhaps my biggest issue with our current form of democracy. It doesn't feel very democratic. It results in huge amounts of money being spent on elections that most always end in divisiveness. No matter who wins, somebody always feels left out. I have yet to see a government that achieves the promise of bringing us all together. That promise has been broken so many times that it seems that even declaring that promise now is not, even not declaring that promise now is not a deciding factor in whom to elect. So, what do we do now? Now what? How do we repair what to many of us feels that is broken? Just pausing for a second, reflecting on my week of how many words have gotten cut and thrown on the trash, right? Ministers go through that every week, and some weeks are more than others, Whole sermons just get thrown away. It was hard to know, what to talk about this morning. But I asked the question again, now what, right? How do we repair what to many of us feels broken? Well, of course, the temptation will be there to answer this stressful moment with one of the two tried and true stress responses. We can jump in and fight like hell, or we can flee and take flight, maybe literally. Some of us are quick to jump into fight mode in times like these. We advocate passionately for our beliefs to anyone that will listen or even those that will not. We call out injustices and engage in heated debates. Those of us that turn towards fight response often feel like if we can just push harder, if we can just argue louder, if we can just be more reasonable, if we can just be more persistent, we can convince others to see it our way. On the other hand, when we become disillusioned in our inability to realize the results we want, we may be tempted to withdraw, to turn off the news and never turn it back on, to ignore the division and difficult conversations. We may decide to block anyone who does not share our opinions, or we may intentionally keep our relationships very surface, avoiding anything that may cause a rift. If we are really committed to the flight response, we may even book that ticket to another country, convincing ourselves it's the only avenue left. And while each strategy has its appeal and perhaps its time, I think the truth is that both of these strategies come with a cost, and neither will really get us where we need to go. Fighting can be exhausting. It leads to burnout. It causes us to lose sight of the very values we are trying to protect in our exhaustion. It keeps us in a perpetual state of anxiety as we feel we are never doing enough. We are never doing enough. And the harder we fight, the more we risk alienating others, and the deeper the divisions grow. Fighting rarely results in true repair of what really is broken, even if temporary results yield success. And yet the cost of flight is high as well. Retreating without addressing what is in need of repair only deepens the gulf between sides. When we stay in our safe corners, convinced of the fallacy of the other, we lose part of what life is really about. Our hearts become small, and the walls of our life shrink to ensure our safety, and we miss out on the possibility of connection. We cannot repair what we refuse to acknowledge. So if we can't fight our way out of this, and fleeing doesn't work either, how do we repair this divide? We vote it, but the election part is over now. Now what? There must be something we can do. This week, as I've been pondering the answer to this question of now what, I have felt both the urge to fight like hell and the urge to flee. Anybody else? Yes? Who are my fighters out there? Who's like, damn it? Who's like, ticket booked? I have avoided the pundits and the TV talk shows. I've not even read one opinion piece in any of the many online magazines ready to offer me more ways to think about it. In truth, I've had a lot of compassion this week for those whose jobs require that they immediately have a response to the events of the week, knowing that no matter what they say, there will be backlash. I did catch a headline that said some people were really upset with the tone of Kamala's concession speech, saying it was too conciliatory. My thought, give the woman a break. Must we always have an opinion about everything? It's challenging. And the urge to have an opinion and to know what to do next can feel pressing. But the truth is, or at least the truth I want to propose. I know I'm in a UU church. My truth is, the truth I want to propose is, it just may not be time to know what to do next. The truth is that if we come to our answer of what to do next out of reaction, out of anger, out of frustration, out of fear, out of the desire to demonize entire groups of people, the chances of the answers we come to being effective and unifying are very slim. This week, I have landed on just the wisdom of the Buddhists who say simply, don't just do something, sit there. Or as the great civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman called it, center down. Center down. This is what he says. He wrote, how good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see oneself pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashing and noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting law. With full intensity we seek ere thicket passes a fresh sense of order in our living. A direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning in our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. And the question persists, what are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doing? Where are we trying to go? Where do we put the emphasis and where are the values focused? For what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure and what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life and to what am I true? Over and over, the questions beat upon the waiting moment. And yet, as we listen, quietly, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there will be a sound of another kind, a deeper note, which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered. Our spirits then refreshed, we can move back into the traffic of our daily lives with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down. I love that reminder, and it means so much to me that it comes from someone like Howard Thurman, someone who worked so hard for justice, who was surrounded by people who also worked hard for justice, and yet he says, to know what to do, we must get quiet first. We must get quiet. We must get quiet so that we can hear the true sound of our hearts and let that guide us. Not our minds, not our reactions, not our anger, not our fear. When I think about any areas in my life that have required repair, I know these words from Thurman are so true. Repair requires first we pause, that we listen to the deeper calling from within and allow it to guide our next steps. Repair asks us to reflect and notice whether we are reacting out of fear, out of anger, out of exhaustion, or whether we are responding with love and compassion, guided by something more resounding, more eternal than our egos. Thurman knew we cannot approach the work of justice and nation building with a heart full of rage, hate, and defensiveness. He knew we must work from a place of love and that to find that love, we need it to center down first. The world is complex. People are complex. Our needs are complex. Our wants are complex. Living amongst other humans with different needs and wants is complex. And of course, he was not saying that just personally feeling all good is going to heal anything. But he did say that we have to allow the jangling echoes of the turbulence pass. And my friends, I think that's where many of us are. And this week, as I've pushed myself to know what to do next, I've come back again and again to just sit and let the jangling echoes pass. A deeper note, which only the stillness of the heart makes clear, he says, will arise in us. And when we find answers from that place, when the answers arise not out of our anger, not out of our fear or anxiety or concern, but out of our place of love, we will be strong. We will become more clear about the work that is there to do. We will become more clear about what is our personal piece of the work, however large or small. As we engage in repair of our own hearts, we will have the energy renewed to go out into the world without undue fight and without the urge to flee from what we find there. For those of us that are truly concerned about a woman's bodily autonomy, about the rights of trans people, about the health of our environment, about gun control, and a host of other issues, there is so much work ahead of us. But now I think it's time we center down, my friends. Now we gather our hearts, we listen deeply to our spirits, we take the space we need to take, and when we hear that voice inside of us rising up, we take all that energy and we put it to use. Indeed, there is so much more we have in common with our fellow Americans than what divides us. Now it is time that we center down and we truly repair this nation. We truly overcome our divisions and lead the way with love. So may it be.